Hello everybody, I'm Leora Sims. Welcome to my channel. Today, I am introducing you to a brand new Sims tag that I created. It's called the It Made Me Stronger tag. What you have to do is create a sim that represents a very difficult time in your life. Then you create another sim that represents the aftermath of the difficult time. And then you make these 2 or 3 sims. You can create as many sims as you want, but after you create them, you have to make them relatives of each other. And then, if you would like, you can talk about the difficult time in your life and how that difficult time made you a stronger person. And those are the rules. I invite everyone who wants to do this tag to do it. My only request is that you give me, Leora Sims, the credit for creating it. I'd like to introduce you now to Mara Smart. Mara represents a very difficult time in my life. Here is Mara everyday wear. Here is her formal wear. Her athletic wear. Her sleepwear. Her party wear. And her swimwear.
Ah.
Mara is a genius. She's good. She's gloomy. She has the domestic trait. And her aspiration is a successful family lineage. If you have watched my channel for some time, you probably heard me say recently that I was going through a family crisis. I was in an abusive relationship. When I met my ex, he seemed very kind. He was very attentive to me and very devoted to me. I dated him for 2 years.
Ah.
I was trying to be very careful. I was very careful because I'm a very sentimental person. And a long time ago, I made the decision that when the time came to date, I had to be extra careful when it came to matters of the heart.
Huh.
And I thought that I was so smart and so self-aware, and I was so proud of myself. And I still ended up in an abusive relationship. I had my ex around a lot of my friends. He was around my friends when I wasn't there. Most of them told me how devoted he was to me.
Huh. Hmm.
I got no negative comments about him from them, from any of my friends. I had him around my family. They also thought that he was devoted to me and that he loved me very deeply. He told me that he wanted to be a good husband to me, that he wanted to build a family with me, and that he would always be there for me. After 4
Ah.
times, I accepted his marriage proposal with confidence because I felt that I loved him, and I felt that if there were any red flags, my friends
Hmm.
would make me aware of them. And they would, they just didn't see any. Or I should say, most of them didn't see any.
Huh.
We got engaged. He acted quote unquote normal. I hate that word, but for lack of a better word, I will use it. He was happy.
Huh.
He was interacting with people.
Hmm.
He was accepting their congratulations. He was treating me with kindness. He never raised his voice at me. About a year later, we had
Huh.
a ceremony and a reception. And at this ceremony and reception, he seemed disconnected. It was like the festivities were going on around him, but he wasn't a part of them. He stared at his phone the entire time. I tried to get him to interact with me, and he really didn't. His excuse was that he had relatives that couldn't make it,
Hmm.
and he wanted to make sure that they had pictures, so he was taking pictures on his phone. And I accepted that excuse. I had a friend who never met him before come up to
Huh.
congratulate him, and he said something very low and made very little eye contact, if any. But I thought this was just because
Oh.
he was shy. And I understand that. I'm a shy person myself when I don't know somebody.
Hmm.
After the ceremony, several months after, um, he had a job opportunity. And he did some things that I advised him against, and the
Ah.
job didn't work out. And he became angry. And he took his anger out on me. I want to make it clear that he did not physically harm me, that I was in an
Mm-hmm.
emotionally abusive relationship. I started to notice before the job opportunity that he had more anger than I thought, but when he lost the job opportunity, it got worse. Before the job opportunity, he stopped wanting to hang out with me with my friends. And if he wasn't going to hang out with my friends, then I couldn't hang out with my friends. So I became very isolated. People would invite us for
Hmm.
dinner, and he would say that he didn't want to go, and he would make up an excuse why he didn't want to go all of the time, and so we didn't go. And he was happy, but I was isolated.
Mm-hmm.
I worked from home. I work from home. And so I was in the house all day. And he went to work. And when he would get home from work, he would take his anger out on me
Ah.
in subtle ways. He would get angry at people on a regular basis and complain about them for hours and hours and hours. And he was
Ooh.
very harsh. And sometimes he blew things out of proportion. In fact, most times he blew things out of proportion. I will give you an example. We could be walking in the street and somebody could say hello to him. My ex would turn to me 10 minutes later or an hour later and start telling me that that guy is a snob, that he didn't like him, that that guy thought he was a piece of garbage because someone like him is more educated than my ex, and because he's more educated, my ex
Hmm.
would say that that person thinks that he's a piece of garbage and would never look his way and would never say hello to him if he felt that he didn't have to, if we weren't in the streets, if I wasn't there
Hmm.
with my ex, he would never say hello to my ex and that he didn't like him. And all the man said was hello. But what my ex did was he would put words in people's mouths and thoughts in their heads. And he started to do that to me. I would say something, and he would
Hmm.
say that I meant something else, or that I meant what I said, but I meant to say more. And he would
Oh.
add things. And then he started to tell me what I was thinking. And whatever he thought I was thinking or saying was negative. And I couldn't defend myself against him because he thought that he was right. And he would
Huh.
get angry for hours on a regular basis. He would always be in a bad mood. And I didn't know what was going on. I just wanted my ex back the way he was when I met him. So, as time went on, he stopped touching me at all. He wouldn't hug me. He wouldn't hold my
Uh-huh.
hand. He wouldn't go
Hmm.
out with me anywhere. So again, I became even more isolated. First, he wouldn't see me with my friends, and then he wouldn't take me out anywhere in public. When I did try to hug him or hold his hand, he would call me the B word. In fact, he called me the B word for probably a couple of months straight, and I was angry enough that he knew not to do that because I spoke up for myself. So he knew not to call me the B word all of the time because he didn't like my reaction
Huh.
after so many months of him
Hmm.
doing it almost every day. But he would still do it whenever I would try to hug him or hold his hand or touch his arm. And again, I felt like he was isolating me, but not just from other people, from himself. One time, we were in a situation where he was complaining, and I was listening, and I got upset because I got tired of hearing how he hates this, and he hates this,
Hmm.
and he hates that, and he dislikes that in such strong terms. And I was eating a salad, and the salad dropped from my hands, and I bent down to pick it up. I said I would pick it up. He said he would pick it up for me. I was getting frustrated because the salad dropped, and I just felt like my whole world
Uh-huh.
was crashing down, and that's why I got so upset. And then he said, I'll get a
Hmm.
divorce. A conversation about a salad became a conversation about divorce. My ex will tell anyone that he doesn't believe that a husband and wife should argue. I believe disagreements are normal. And if you're in a long-term relationship and you never have an argument, a disagreement, there is something wrong with that because someone is holding something back. However, despite whatever my ex said or
Ah.
thought, he
Hmm.
did argue. And he argued badly. A conversation about a salad should not turn to a conversation about divorce. After that, he began telling me on a regular basis that he was going to leave, that he didn't want to be married to anyone. And that's when I started to think. And what I thought
Ah.
was,
Hmm.
this man is going to leave, and I will have no one unless I start reaching out to people again. So that's what I did. I started to reach out to my friends. My ex
Ah.
would say terrible things about my friends and family. He would tell me that they didn't care about me, that they weren't good to me, that they didn't do XYZ for me. And he would do this on a regular basis. When I was on the phone with friends, he would make noise. He would stare at me, or he would interject himself in the conversation
Hmm.
to the point where eventually I made phone calls when he was at work. My best friend gave me the courage to start thinking about leaving. I had kept the situation to myself for about 3 years. But
Ah.
one night I called my best
Hmm.
friend to see how my best friend was. My best friend asked me how I was. I said I was fine, but after just a little bit of probing from my best friend, I broke down into tears and things started to come out.
Ah.
I reached out to my best friend because I didn't want to lose my best friend. And then I started reaching out to my other friends. I started reaching out to people
Hmm.
and telling them little tidbits of what was going on, little bits of information. I didn't tell people for
Ah.
3 years because I didn't want them to criticize me, and I felt that my ex was criticizing me enough. And I wanted my ex back. To me, it felt like my ex had changed overnight, and I didn't feel that I could get my ex back if people knew what was going on, because they would encourage me to leave before I could fix it. I begged my ex on several occasions, many occasions, to get help, and he felt that getting help would make his issues worse. So he refused. And I started thinking about what my life would be like if I stayed with him for the next 50 years. And I didn't like what I pictured.
Mm-hmm.
What I pictured was many, many, many more tears, a lot more sadness, disappointments, and missed opportunities. So, I left. I was in this relationship
Ooh.
for 5 years in total.
Hmm.
4 of them were what I consider an abusive relationship.
Hmm.
This is Aura Smart, and Aura is Mara's sister. Aura represents the person that I was before I met my ex, and the person that I am now. Mara had no hobbies because, for the most part, I gave up my hobbies. Aura is a music lover, and she's a music lover because I love music and I went back to singing. I'm a musician. I made Aura creative because I'm creative, and I feel that in this relationship my creativity was stifled and my talents were stifled. I made Aura cheerful because I haven't had the easiest life. I don't have the easiest life. No one does. I've been through some tough times, but I always try to keep a positive attitude. And I didn't like being gloomy all of the time. And I tried not to be. But it was really hard. people really do need people. And I was in a relationship where I was getting no compliments and no affection. And it made me realize on a very deep level how important people are, how important human contact is. And I think I always knew this to be true, but now I know it on a deeper level. I made Aura a muser, and she has the aspiration of being a best-selling author because I'm a writer and I stopped a lot of my writing. My advice is have a partnership, be married to your best friend. The person who knows you, the person who accepts you and loves you, and is your cheerleader. My ex was not my cheerleader. People are very complex. People have many dreams. You could have a woman who has a dream to be a wife and a mother, and achieving those things to her is a dream come true. But that same woman might have a dream to also be a dancer, and she should be able to be a wife, a mother, and a dancer. You shouldn't have to give up your pursuit of dreams for a relationship dream, because your best friend will support you in all of your dreams as you should support them. One warning sign that I missed was that my ex didn't have any friends. And because I want so badly to marry my best friend, and I always wanted to marry a best friend, I tried to make him my friend. I tried to teach my ex how to be a friend. Here are all of Aura's outfits.
Hmm.
I put her in a wedding dress because I still believe in love. Here's her athletic, her sleep, her party,
Huh.
and her swimwear. I put her in this red dress because I have a red dress, and one of the times I wore it, I never felt more beautiful. I hope that this video was helpful. If you want these sisters in your game, they are listed on the gallery as Smart Sisters. My name on the gallery is Leora18.
Hmm.
And I will end this video saying what I always try to say at the end of every video, and that is, be happy, guys.